Throughout this coursework, I always imagined my target audience to be males and females aged 16 to 25, but during the final audience feedback process, two 20-year-olds said they found it difficult to relate to the theme of peer pressure in my film, and also an 18-year-old boy said he found the main characters difficult to relate to because of their gender. Therefore, my target audience is now females aged between 16 and 20. To specify my target audience further, I've come up with an audience profile to describe a quintessential member of my target audience. So this is the 18-year-old Michelle. She finished college in June with a BTEC in business and is taking a gap year to decide if she wants to attend university and, if so, which course. She considers herself to be working class due to her family's income and her parents' occupations, and she feels that her class is reflected in her hobbies, of which she claims socialising is her favourite. She also enjoys shopping with friends and occasionally watching films and TV programmes with them. Her other media consumption habits include reading, which she enjoys but she usually only does it for educational purposes rather than entertainment. She also watches films, but mostly with friends, with whom she watches comedies and chick flicks. And when she's watching films alone, she prefers more modern films, perhaps with more depth to them. She also reads magazines such as Cosmo, but she doesn't purchase and read them every month as she finds them too girly sometimes. And her favourite television programmes are in the genre of drama or reality. As you can see, my target audience is quite reflective of the characters in my film, as I think social realism is always more effective if the audience can empathise with character situations. For example, Michelle considers herself to be working class. Whilst my main characters are middle class, I imagine other characters in the film to be working class, and the film in general would deal with working class issues. To coincide with the middle class themes, I have made Michelle have some middle class traits, such as pursuing further education. I've also geared her media habits around my film. For example, she obviously likes films aimed at her age, but she also likes films with depth to them, which is what my film would be. The fact that she's not a typical girly girl also shows that perhaps she'd be more accustomed to the darker themes surrounding females in my film. I imagine audience members such as Michelle would empathise with the main characters rather than look down on them, because having middle class traits herself, she is quite similar to them. I think my film fulfills quite a lot of uses and gratifications. For example, with the subheading of diversion, my film is good for escapism purposes, because when people look for escapism, they look for problems larger than their own, and my film obviously contains some dark problems, so escapism is perfect for this. My film is also good for personal relationships. For example, my film encourages social empathy, especially if the audience can relate to the characters and their situations. They're more likely to sympathise with them and empathise with them. And also, as with most media, my film can act as a basis of conversation between audience members. As far as personal identity is concerned, not many uses and gratifications are fulfilled, but one that is largely covered is reinforcement of personal values. For example, some audience members might feel a sense of superiority because they would not resort to drugs. And my film can also remind my audience of the dangers of drug abuse. And finally, surveillance is covered quite extensively. For example, my film can educate audiences, especially those not in my target audience, about youth culture and the extent to which peer pressure is present in that culture. I also think my film could satisfy curiosity and general interest. For example, perhaps my audience would be interested in why people resort to drug abuse. My film could also give advice on personal matters. Perhaps an audience member would be less likely to resort to peer pressure once they're aware of the dangers involved.